In the hushed pre-dawn hours of Harvey's casino hotel, the silence wasn't just quiet, it was heavy with the ghosts of yesterday's luck. For night supervisor Bob Vinson, it was a silence he knew well, but this morning something was wrong. Standing in the middle of the second-floor corridor, a place he'd walked a dozen times that night, was a machine, a strange metallic monolith that simply wasn't there before. This wasn't a forgotten luggage cart. It was a complex, imposing device. Two metal boxes stacked on top of each other, covered in switches. It was a puzzle that had no place in a hotel hallway, and as Bob drew closer, a chilling sense of dread began to crawl up his spine.
Hello and welcome. If you're new here, welcome to Amazing 5.
This was the beginning of a 55-hour nightmare that would hold a city hostage. The machine wasn't just a machine, it was a bomb. But it was unlike any bomb the FBI had ever seen. Taped to the side was an envelope addressed to the hotel management, and inside was a 3-page letter, typed with cold, calculated precision. The letter wasn't a simple threat, it was a manual for a nightmare. The author, who remained anonymous, called his creation the Machine. He explained that it was filled with 1,000 pounds of dynamite, enough to obliterate not just Harvey's hotel, but the casino across the street as well. This wasn't a bluff. The letter detailed the bomb's intricate design with terrifying expertise. It couldn't be moved or tilted even a fraction of an inch without detonating. It had float switches to trigger an explosion if anyone tried to flood it with water, and atmospheric pressure sensors to set it off if someone tried to use gas. The screws on its surface were wired to triggers. Even the creator, the letter boasted, could no longer disarm it. It was a perfect, unstoppable trap. The demand was as bold as the device, $3 million in used, unmarked $100 bills. The instructions for the money drop were a complex labyrinth of their own, involving a helicopter, a lone pilot, and a series of cryptic calls from a phone booth. Panic was a quiet, creeping thing. The authorities made a swift decision. The entire hotel, with its 600 sleeping guests and staff, was evacuated. People were ushered out into the early morning light, confused and unaware of the mechanical monster sitting just floors above them. As the bomb squad arrived, the true genius and cruelty of the device became apparent. The X-rays were inconclusive, a mess of wires and complex circuitry. They couldn't see what was connected to what. Using a stethoscope, they could hear a faint, unnerving whirring inside, the sound of a timer or something far more sinister. For 2 days, the best minds in law enforcement stared at the metallic box, paralyzed. They were locked in a battle of wits with an invisible mastermind. The bomber had thought of everything. Any attempt to cut into it, move it, or disable it would result in catastrophe. The letter was their only guide, but following its instructions felt like walking into a trap. Meanwhile, the clock was ticking. The letter mentioned automatic timers, but gave no clue as to when they would run out. A desperate plan was hatched. Following the bomber's instructions, the FBI prepared the ransom money and dispatched a helicopter. The pilot, an undercover agent, flew to the designated drop zone, but the bomber's plan had a fatal flaw. The instructions were slightly off. The pilot couldn't find the exact spot, and the final call never came. The money was never delivered. Back at the hotel, time had run out. With no way to safely disarm the bomb, the authorities were left with only one horrifying option: to try and trigger the explosion themselves in a controlled manner. They attached a small, shaped explosive charge to the device, hoping to sever the detonator's wiring before the main charge could go off. The entire area was a ghost town. Everyone held their breath. At 3:45 p.m. on August 27th, they triggered the charge. For a split second, there was silence. Then, the world erupted. The explosion was immense, a deafening roar that ripped a 5-story crater through the heart of the hotel, sending a mushroom cloud of debris and smoke into the sky. The bomber's threat had been real. In the aftermath, the investigation led them to a 58-year-old disgruntled gambler named John Burgess. He had lost his life savings at the casino and had spent a year building his unbeatable machine to exact his revenge and reclaim his fortune. Though his plan failed and he was eventually caught, His creation went down in history as one of the most complex and sophisticated improvised explosive devices ever made. The bombing of Harvey's hotel became a chilling legend, a testament to the fact that sometimes the biggest gambles aren't made at the poker table, but in the desperate corridors of a broken mind.